Alright, so last night, AGL Captain Ginyu's Extreme Z Awakening was announced, and this is a character that people have been looking forward to for a very, very long time. However, a lot of people are actually disappointed in this character's kit and how they are turning out. Now, I think that there's a lot of criticism that is valid for this character, but I think a lot of people are also jumping the gun in terms of, oh, how bad the Ginyu is, or him being super underwhelming. And I think, there are, again, some good points that you can make about this, but this is what I'm going to talk about today, because I actually do like this Ginyu, and I think that he's being a little underrated. But we can again bring that up and bring those points up. So I did go ahead and make this post, thoughts on AGL Ginyu's EZA, and I did just make a tweet like literally a few seconds ago. Hey, if you don't like him, let me know why, and we're gonna wait for the replies to go ahead and simmer on that. But for now, we're going to take a look at some of the replies here to my original tweet that I made basically right after the details did drop. And let's see some of the replies. Really good. Ginyu Force needs help. Per Ginyu Force category ally of the team. Again, this is, I think, the biggest thing that people have an issue. And honestly, it's personally my biggest issue too. The fact that this per Ginyu Force category ally in the team, 20% attack and defense up to 100%, wasn't changed or anything like that in a way to add an extra category. I mean, in fact, let me bring up something that I made, because I was like a day late, I guess, technically, with expecting the EZA details. So I actually did make a concept myself. And, funny enough, this concept was very similar to this kit, except, again, well, I did give him an additional super attack guarantee, this great chance here, but like 60% support, 20% reduction here. I did give him the greatly raised, but he has 50% reduction instead of the actual kit. And this, I just extended this to Terrifying Conquerors or Mission Execution. But roughly, I think, taking away the 50% stacks to give him 30% extra, damage reduction is super helpful. But it would be nice if this guy could get his full passive on another team rather than Ginyu Force. And it did, in fact, even change Ginyu Force to Terrifying Conquerors, because that fits all the characters, but more. And it is his leader skill. I would have preferred maybe if they expanded it at least to Terrifying Conquerors, because that obviously will fit every single Ginyu Force character, right? They're all on Terrifying Conquerors. But I mean, I feel like the big reason why they might not have changed that is they're probably looking to update this team, I think, in another way later on during the celebration. We could also talk about that a little bit in this video. That might be an entirely separate video we could even divulge into specifically, since this is supposed to be more so about AGL Ginyu. But I can understand the issue here. However, I don't think that is even a big of a deal to miss out. Like, okay, in my personal runs, I'm gonna run Ginyu and then Rikuma Guldo and not even care about the rest of this, because the thing about Tao's team is that there's a ton of support, and I did some calculations here. So let's say, again, this is the 220% leader skill for Ginyu. Let's say, again, he's getting the 200% start of turn, 60% support. Then if we consider just Ginyu and the Rikuma Guldo, that is 40% out of this 100% here. So that adds all the way up to 300%, which we, multiply here. Then they have a 20% defensive link that they share, which is 330k defense, you see. Then remember, Ginyu gets 150% defense when attacking. So let's say, again, he gets the 150% defense when attacking. That's 833k defense. But then he has his stacks. So this is a situation where, let's say, Ginyu gets 10 super attack stats, which, again, is just a rough guesstimate what he may or may not do. But let's say, he gets, and this is all on his Justice base form, by the way, he gets the 10 super attack stacks. He's actually at 2.5 mil defense post attacking. Now you see this and you think, oh, that's not good. Like, look at like Khalifa and Kale, are way better, and they are. I would agree that Khalifa and Kale look way better, but this is not considering support. And we also have to think about the fact that Ginyu has the damage reduction, 50%. Khalifa and Kale do not have any damage reduction. So this guy essentially is able to double digit tank 5 million supers after 10 stacks, not considering any support. if we go ahead and take a look here at the support this guy would get on the mission execution team, we could take a look here. We're gonna get 50% support from General Blue as an example, right? General Blue can actually give the, where's the support ability? No, it's 40% support, but 2-turn 30% support right there, right? So you can get multi-turn support from the, you know, General Blue. If you somehow decide, you know, hey, I'm actually gonna run Jason Birder on the team, that not only is another 20%, but then you could get what, 90% support from Jason Birder basically, because they have the 60% plus the 2-turn 30%, do they not? Like they provide a lot of support, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that again. Actually, I haven't looked at their kit in a few hours. No, not 90%, I'm kind of stupid. 70% support from Jason Birder right there, right? You know, and they would get the extra part of the pass, which would go a long way with this guy getting his stacks up. Let's say for example Path to Power Kid Goku is on rotation, right? So let's change that 3 to a 3.5. Let's, you know what, let's say Path Parked Goku and Jason Birder on the team, right? So let's say that 3 becomes 3.2 and then 3.7, for example. And you know, actually, you know, a better option would be, let's say you have the General Blue. Okay, I changed back and forth a lot. Let's say you have General Blue's 30% support coming over to the next rotation, because again, General Blue does give 30% attack and defense to all for 2 turns. And let's say you have him on a rotation with what's it called? What's his face? Tao, right? And then let's say you have Path to Power Kid Goku coming around. So that's 3.8 is up what that shoots up to. Then again, we could do the 333 460, and that is a lot different compared to what we saw with that's like even before the links. So you see that link set definitely does make a difference. Then we can go ahead and add the 20% defensive link we get. That's 400k defense right there. Then again, he gets the 150% defense when attacking. That shoots him up to 1 million defense already. Then let's say again, he gets about, you know, 10 stacks, right? So this shoots him up to 3 mil defense. So now he only needs the 10 stacks to take, already double digit tank 6 mil super, which is pretty much the only boss that hits that hard is STR Jiren, and this guy is already tankier than STR Jiren. But this is just considering his base form, right? If we go ahead and take a look here at his transform state, he's obviously a lot stronger, right? Because, you know, when he actually transforms, he gets a massive boost to his passive skill. So let's say, for example, that we have the 250% here start of turn, and then let's also give him the same support that he would get. And again, with Path Park and Goku, you would also get the extra 8% damage reduction. So let's just say, for example, again, so right here, he'd have the 2.5 plus, let's say he has 50% support from Path Park Goku, and then on top of that, he would also have the what's it called? What's the word I'm trying to look for here? The General Blue support. So that's 2.5 to 3 to 3.3 right there. Which honestly, is actually lower, surprisingly. Am I missing anything here? I guess it's because actually it is lower technically, huh? But he gets all of his defense before receiving an attack here. So technically, is his defense is lower, huh? Maybe that's not something I'm the biggest fan of. He does also get the 50% chance to dodge though. So let's continue with the calculation here. So he's at 298,725, and then let's go ahead and give him the 20% defensive link here. Then on top of that, he gets 150% defense when receiving an attack. Then let's say he has had these amount of stacks. He's at 2.6, which means that again, he's able to very easily double to take 5 mil supers. On top of this, he also has the 50% chance to dodge. I do think that maybe this should have been 300% attacking defense. Probably would be the biggest thing I would change, but he has the flat 50% reduction. He has the heal there. And, you know, I mean, to me, this looks still good, right? And getting 10 stacks with this guy is not going to be an a crazy out of this world, you know, expectation. I think it should be just fine. You could also consider this guy is probably going to be a slot 2 character, but I don't know. Whilst I do think that this guy obviously could be better, he's not as good as Khalifa and Kale. I think this is still a good EZA character. So I think that's where maybe people, you know, are worried because that Ginyu Force restriction, and I focus a lot of time on this because I think that's pretty much people's biggest concerns. It's not really the biggest deal to miss out on that, especially when you get Ginyu transformed out. He doesn't even have to worry about having those specific allies on the team, right? Now I do think that again, Ginyu Force can definitely get a huge buff, and maybe we could talk about this. Let's say some of the replies here to this tweet specifically that I made here, and Proton even talked about it. May I explain why the physical LR Ginyu Force got their assets fixed, which happened, funny enough, in December of 2024, like last year, like 6 months ago. A super EZA for that card wouldn't be surprising considering how the focus of these EZAs was the Ginyu Force as a category. It's possible, Miss Tao's team is actually pretty good right now. I don't even think it needs like the extra help like that. So if they want to focus the second half of the celebration on Ginyu Force, I don't think that's a big deal. Now, physical LR Ginyu, there's a couple of reasons why people are also expecting his potential super EZA. That's because if we take a look here, I think it would be, where would it be in terms of a battlefield? I think, this one was from April. Oh my goodness. Okay. I think if I take a look here, does it tell us? Yeah, you can exchange for Anelaza up to 5 times. So they pushed this guy from being able to exchange him twice to 5 times. And it's like, oh, well, that's kind of weird. Why? And a lot of us are thinking it might be because they're gonna put the physical LR Ginyu's medals in the shop potentially as an EZA. Best case scenario, they do his EZA through another means, because again, the Ginyu, this guy's EZA medals are from Ultimate Clash, so I would assume his Super EZA medals also come from Ultimate Clash. So it's very possible that they put his Extreme Z Awakening in here, his Super EZA. I mean, they usually do that for a lot of these characters, so that's a thing. It's possible that this physical LR EZA for the Ginyu Force does actually happen very, very soon. And again, this guy also does have a pure Ginyu Force ally in the team restriction. He would actually also be really good for the Tau team because he does have Rainbow Orb changing and he does have all ally support. Tau really would like that, right? And on top of that, it would give another Ginyu Force character to use on the team to make AGL Ginyu stronger, for example, right? This would be really cool. But then beyond that, I was talking about this with Pearl10 in another tweet, but this guy might get their EZA soon. And the reason for that is because they recently streamlined the event where you get the Ginyu, Birder, Jace, Guldo, and Raccoon. They recently streamlined all those events to be very more simple. It's just one stage for each of them you have to do, and it's just a lot easier. And I think that was a really good addition for new. Oh, my monitor just turned off. I don't know. I think my screen still showed for you guys, but again, it makes things a lot easier for new players. And again, I talked about it here. I think it might have been the same reply. Yeah, basically the same reply thread. It's funny you mentioned that because the stages were already revamped to the most basic form. Super EZA from the Tech LR using the TUR units. Just like Prime Battle Goku. Prime Battle Goku got a Super EZA. Again, they get Super EZA this Tech LR Ginyu as well. Goku Ginyu Force right here. And then imagine, okay, these 2 EZA, we have the 5 characters in total, which would be the 2 sub EZAs, Raccoon, Guldo, Birder, and Jace. And then we have the Ginyu AGL himself. Then we have this physical LR Captain Ginyu. Then we have Tech LR Ginyu. But then, we can also consider this guy is actually not bad right now. If you have a full Ginyu Force or special pose. Because he'll have the guard, and then before attacking he has a reduction. But, I mean, he's going to be able to provide so much extra support. And then an ability like this on AGL Ginyu, for example, would be crazy, right? This guy could actually be decent right now, especially as a floater. But then maybe we get a part 2 LR that's like a Raccoon or a Ginyu Jace exchange. I was thinking maybe it could be Goku Ginyu plus a Jace exchange card, right? I think that could be really interesting as a card for sure. And if they do something like that, then, Ginyu Force getting a 200% leader, a new one on top of that would be really good. Technically, you would still be able to use AGL Ginyu as a leader. He is a 200% leader as well, right? Because we know these yellow coin LRs wouldn't get any 220% leaders, but they are 200% leaders and they can provide 2 categories. So maybe it could be Mission Execution and Ginyu Force. That could be really interesting. But yeah, it seems like they might want to go a Ginyu Force route, which it is very possible. If they don't, you know, that is obviously very disappointing, but I do think AGL Ginyu will still be relatively good, right? Again, I'm not gonna say he's gonna be some mega top tier character, but he is pretty busted still. He is still very good, I feel like. So he's doing a lot even without his full passive. But let's take a look here at some of the replies here. I saw that I got a lot of replies to this tweet already. 33 90 mil APT, dude, who like APT, blah 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 blah. Tao is doing just fine, and then I'm sure Ginyu will be just fine as well. I mean, technically, the slower the team goes, the more stacks this guy could technically get in these like longer fights. So is that really a big deal? I feel like no. Now another thing I would say, this guy's not good for festival. I feel like you would think he'd be good at festival as like, you know, just looking at him, but he only stacks defense in his base form, so I think his damage will fall off very quickly in that fight. And then when you transform with him, he's not going to be doing enough damage by the time you would actually transform with him. So I think like AGL Ginyu, plus the fact that he does technically want certain allies that don't really fit in a festival, that suck for him. But besides that, I think he's going to be really good at red zones. I could see him also have an issue with battle hardened foes though, and it's like that's where it's like when you talk about battle hardened foes as well, he's not really that great there, but he's going to be really good in red zone. So when I personally rank him, he's probably going to be lower than kind of how I'm hyping him up to be, just because I consider all three of the different modes. But I do think that he'll be able to be runnable in the battle hardened foes. He's just not going to have any special particular push for him to be like, oh yeah, you know, this guy's really good there. And I do think he probably would get like demolished by some X's AoE potentially, but that's something we have to wait and see to test out. Now again, let's take a look here. From the footage you're seeing, seems like you're going through a ton of annoying BS for a payoff that isn't even crazy. I mean, I guess I can I definitely get that, because it's like you want the Ginyu Force team. His additionals are high chances. I just don't think it's as annoying as people are thinking it's going to be. He's more restricted than Khalifa KO. Regular stacking compared to their great stacking, only stacks defense attack compared to their build. They have a guaranteed additional super, and one of his is not a normal. He's worse than them in every way. And yeah, I agree. Like they could have made Ginyu better. He is definitely worse than Tech Khalifa in every way. I just don't think that makes him bad compared to what a lot of people are saying. But yeah, I think that, you know, I think his restriction is the biggest thing for me. If they expanded that to mission execution, I think people would be feeling a lot better about this guy. And yeah, that's pretty much the biggest thing I would change, just mission execution. But yeah, you know, again, him not having a guaranteed super definitely does hurt as well. I think they put the 50% reduction in him and feel like, you know, they kind of held back a little more than they pushed for him, which is a little unfortunate considering how excited people are for this EZA. Again, I'm thinking he's going to be fine though. No guaranteed additional super base, Ginyu Force restriction, yep. Outside of that, you love him, especially how they bumped up his support and they removed his build-up transform. Yeah, I do like that in his transform state, his build-up is just there, right? This guy excels in no content, has one team you sort of need to build around him for a little payoff. Your farming thing has been good and only barred on pro is a red zone, but his performance is not it for all content, like in Buhan is clearing hard. In Buhan versus Ginyu, I feel like I'm taking Ginyu over this guy. Over in Buhan, because like, I mean, homeless in Buhan, glorious team can send all content. I mean, I like, okay, he has one team, but then you're okay. Wait, I'm confused because you're okay. Whoa, I don't even look at that. So you're saying that you have an issue with Ginyu being on one team, but then Glorio's team is the one team for Buhan, and you're having him high up there. I kind of don't get it. And then another thing is that you're saying very strong even without the fusions. I mean, Tao's team doesn't necessarily need the fusions either. Like, you have a really good setup in Tao's team. So I don't really get that argument per se if you're gonna do it. Like, I kind of get it in that sense, but realistically, I think he should be fine. And if anything, him on Tao's team in Battle Hardened Foes, like, he's gonna have a great time there because Tao's gonna help him out, which is not something that we could say that he himself is like, you know, oh yeah, because of Ginyu, we're clearing Battle Hardened Foes, right? Because Ginyu is a stacking character, so he's not really intended to work there. I do think that maybe they could have had an option of him having extra reduction turn one. They do that to some of the characters. But I mean, if we take a look here, he's just not like debuffing or anything, which is maybe they could have given him attack lowering. I think when you talk about it, there are some things you could change about him, especially if you want him to be good in all the modes. But at the end of the day, he's a stacker, so as long as he's good in red zone, which to me he looks like he's going to be great in red zone, that's good enough with me. I'm just gonna say, like, yeah, you know, Ted Khalifa kill better. If I look at, like, let's go ahead and take a look at my most recent T-War tier list here. And I didn't even save all of them last time. Dang it, okay. Yeah, actually that sucks. I did not save my last tier lists. So because I didn't save them, I have to redo them again. But essentially, I mean, this is Battle Hardened Foes. Like, if I was going to place this guy in that list, it would probably, he still would be, I think, roughly S tier potentially, if not A tier. His defense might be a bit too low starting off, though. So, again, yeah, that's where maybe 50% stacks could come into play. And yeah, this is the big issue people are having. Damage is not crazy, takes so much to build up. Transformation condition is still under 70%. I mean, this one is not something that they could have changed. Restricted, barely helped in Tau, 1 in Ginyu Force under meta with little ones. Feels like they gave more attack and defense. Even then, barely gave enough to be impressive. If you like Jason Birder, I don't know. I'm not really a fan of Jason Birder. This is also what I'm saying. Indirectly causing issue for Tau's team. Heavily relies on Ginyu Force allies can activate full passive. I mean, with it, isn't the most impressive. Fair, all for fair criticisms, but I think that this is where people are comparing Ginyu to Khalifa Kale, which I think it's a fair comparison. Obviously, they're both EZA T-Wards that released roughly around the same time frame together. But then if you compare Ginyu to the actual bosses, he's gonna be good, I think. So anyways, we'll see when they're in the game. I could be wrong for sure. I haven't like seen much about numbers. I haven't seen much about like in-game performance. I don't watch like usually early gameplay or anything like that. But thanks y'all for watching, and I guess I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.